So, I'm sorry I didn't get around to making this video a few days ago. I've been dealing with personal stuff, as I'm sure most of you all know, but anyway. World War III. This is what it fucking looks like, huh? I always pictured that before it was gonna happen, the media and the government was going to at least let us know, but that's me falling prey to my unfortunate bad habit of just assuming by default that people have a little bit of good in them. But we're talking about the psychopaths who run the government here, so realistically, I knew it would likely boil down to something like this. But what really gets me, and again, something I always just sort of suspected, is that it was going to be a false flag attack that got us into World War III.
In our investigation for crimes against humanity and war crimes, we collect some witness testimony that that made to appear that some chemical weapons were used, in particular nervine gas, and what appeared on to our investigation that was used by the opponents, by the rebels, and we have no indication at all that the government, Syria, the authority of the Syria government have used chemical weapons.
So, as some of you may remember, early in my YouTube history, so early last year when my first channel was still up, I made a video exposing the last gas attack as a false flag. Well, as it turns out, James Mattis recently was forced to admit that there was no evidence that that attack was caused by Assad's government. And as of right now, the US government is putting forward no evidence that Assad was responsible for this attack other than they're just claiming that they're right. But despite this, they boast about how much proof there is and bomb them anyway.
As a mother of 2 children, as a wife of a combat veteran, I am unbelievably proud of how President Trump has looked at the information, analyzed, not let anyone rush him into this, because he has said from the beginning, we have to know what we're right, we have to know all the information, we have to know that there's proof.
And if the French government using random posts on social media as evidence to justify their involvement is anything to go by, then let's just say that there's a reason the US government isn't putting forward any proof. And you want to know how we know that they're lying? Well, remember how James Mattis admitted that there was no evidence for Assad's involvement in the chemical attack last year? Well, in a little slip-up he made to the AP, he said after we bombed Assad, quote, "They didn't get the message after the chemical attack in 2017. God, don't you just love how egotistical psychopaths always end up fucking themselves over with their own arrogance? Their ego and pomposity always ends up making them miscalculate something, or they end up forgetting something in the moment while they're ego-tripping, in Mattis's case, which causes them to single-handedly destroy their entire lie. It's beautiful, frankly. Also, the fact that only hours after Assad supposedly committed the attack, the US had already positioned battleships off the coast of Syria to strike, before an investigation happened or anything. So clearly, the US's story is complete, 100% pure brand bullshit. And with that being the case, what is the reason we're going to war with Syria and Russia and China by proxy, since Russia and China are incredibly strong allies? Wait a minute, I think I just answered my own question. You see, there is one functional gas pipeline in the Middle East, which is the largest source of fossil fuel in the world, and that is the Syrian pipeline, which starts in Iran and leads into Syria. Syria is not a US ally, but is a strong ally of Russia and China. China recently released the yuan, which is a gold-backed currency, meaning that its value is directly proportionate with gold, and the US dollar, which is mainly used for trading in gas, is based on nothing, because it's printed by the Treasury Department on the request of the Federal Reserve, who makes their request on the request of private banks, and the Treasury Department then taxes citizens to pay the Federal Reserve, since the government produces nothing and can only pay an interest, making the US dollar effectively worthless. Since this is the case, naturally the only way the US can keep its currency valuable is for it to be exchanged in oil in order to keep the dollar's value stable by keeping worldwide demand for it high. Since China is already the #1 importer of oil, a new gold-backed currency will basically cause the US dollar to lose its exchange value, which naturally will cause a feedback loop of dollars rushing back into the US and US banks, which inflates the supply of money. What will happen then is the US dollar not being accepted as a reserve currency, and when that happens, the supply of pretty much all US dollars will come flooding back into the United States, which will result in hyperinflation. So in other words, because of the yuan, China will soon dominate the oil market, and if the US dollar isn't dominating the oil market, demand for US dollars will drop to the point where the US dollar is worth nothing. So when I said that this was going to escalate to World War III, I was sort of exaggerating, but not really, because there actually is a conflict that's escalating to the point where it could become a hot war, but the US won't be able to fund its part since it won't have any money, so... However, this does have an unforeseen consequence, which most people glance over, that will turn this incredibly dark chapter into probably one of the most significant events in all of human history in terms of social progress and advancing as a civilization. What the decline in US dollars will cause is the value of cryptocurrency to skyrocket, since the value of cryptocurrency is always directly proportionate to the size of its network, meaning that as the US dollar declines, cryptocurrencies will be relatively unaffected, and people will see that cryptocurrencies are holding their value as the US dollar declines. So people will begin putting all of their assets in cryptocurrency, causing many of the cryptocurrencies to greatly increase in value all at once, and for their prices to stabilize, since the stability of a cryptocurrency is also proportionate to its network scale, which has been the problem for crypto in the last few years. So why is this so significant? Well, as I'm sure most of you also know, cryptocurrency is completely decentralized due to its blockchain encryption, meaning that it's impossible for the state to accurately track who has it, what exchanges are made with it, how much of it is circulating around in a given area. Anyway, you get the idea. Cryptocurrency is basically the currency equivalent of browsing the internet with a VPN or file sharing through torrents. It's not possible to regulate, nor is it possible to ban. Russia and China, for example, have both tried to ban it, and their crypto markets have since grown. And with the growth of a counter market naturally leads to the development of a societal infrastructure within that counter market, and with that leads to the end of the state. The state can't fund its police or military at this point, since its currency has no value, so they can't use violence to attack people for not paying taxes, and even if they could, the counter economy will have created private security firms with equipment far more advanced than what the state has to defend its customers from the state. And it's likely most of the population will have similar technology, since this innovation will be coming from the counter market. Point is, this is the end of the state. Whether or not the US actually goes to war at this point is irrelevant, because the US dollar is on its last legs, and there is no course of action the US can take to maintain it, since no matter what it does, the yuan will be the more valuable currency, and with the stability of a crypto market caused by the fall of the US dollar, all other countries in the world will soon follow suit, since it's more profitable for people to trade in the crypto market, which will lead to the downfall of all other fiat currencies as well, and the development of a counter-economic infrastructure to fight off the states. The governments know this. That's why all their media outlets are constantly running fear-mongering campaigns about crypto to try and keep its demand low. So, funnily enough, not only is free market anarchy a possibility, but because of decentralization, it is the only possible outcome for society, and states will be permanently innovated out of existence. And if this video seems eerily similar to the video uploaded by Filthy Heretic yesterday, it's because this video was inspired by a conversation we were both in my Discord, and that motherfucker beat me to uploading a video on it. And also, while I was writing the script for my upcoming ambitious project I mentioned in my announcement video, my computer updated in the middle of the night. Which, by the way, whoever at Windows decided that the best time to launch random updates which force your computer to reset was in the middle of the night should be put in a concentration camp. Anyway, this destroyed all of my progress, and I spent 5 days writing that. So here's what I've done. I've updated my $100 Patreon goal to have me continue on that project, and when I reach $100 on Patreon, I will continue the project no matter how long it takes. Link will be located in the description to my Patreon page, as always. Thank you all for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please comment, rate, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.